talent. They're very, very well coached. They're a tough physical team. And this will be a big challenge for us down there on the road. Offensively, it's very explosive group. They've got them at every position. The receivers, tight end, all the backs, quarterback, all those guys have made big plays for them and are very dangerous players if they get any space. Good offensive line, big physical group. Defensively, I think that's all the numbers kind of speak for themselves. They pretty much led the league in every category last year, and they're all back and they're all good and they got a lot of depth. Had another return for a touchdown last week against the Giants, so it's a very disruptive group up front. We've got to do a good job taking care of the ball and trying to create some positive plays. So strong in the kicking game. They cover well. They're well coached. Mickens does a good job in the return game. They're very aggressive there too. So this team's very, very good, very talented, and if you're playing them at home on their home opener, this will be a lot of energy in the stadium, and we'll need it's a big test for us. So see where we're at.
How much change, if at all, have you seen from them, personnel, scheme, whatever the case may be, since the end of the year last year?
Yeah, well, we only played one game, so a couple new receivers, a couple new players on offense. Most of the defense is back. Hayden replaced Colvin, so not a lot. There's not a lot to see. It's only been 5 games, 4 of them are preseason, so.
Bill, you signed Corbin Clayton yesterday. What did you see from him in his first couple of years in the league that you liked?
Yeah, we had 3 players to the roster. We had 3 roster spots, so we filled all of them. And we'll see how it goes with all 3 guys.
Bill, all offseason the Jaguars seem to be talking a lot about the AFC Championship game. Then Jalen Ramsey, of course, came out, had some words about Gronk and some other players. Do you have to talk to your guys about not getting into a war of words with the Jaguars, or how to deal with some of that back and forth?
Yeah, Ben. Well, let's look. We know when the game starts, and we'll be ready to go. I'm sure they will too, and that's when we'll see what happens. So right now we're focused on our preparation for the game. We have a lot of respect for Coach Marone, their coaching staff, and their players, their team, and hopefully we'll be ready to go.
Ramsey and Boye play sides, or do they move?
Most of the time, Ramsey follows the other team's number 1 receiver, but not always.
Are they pretty straightforward, Bill, in terms of what they do defensively, taking last year into account, too? I mean, is there much deception when it comes to that side of the ball for them?
I mean, they do the things that they do. Like I said, they led the league in almost every category last year, so I would imagine they'd be looking to make a lot of dramatic changes. But they keep you off balance. They can, if they have a problem with something, they have a way to fix it. They have a complement or an answer to it. So they do enough to cause you a lot of problems, and nobody's really done much against them.
A unique individual off the field, but on the field, kind of the backup this place. What have you seen from him, as a cornerback since coming into the NFL?
Yeah, he's done a good job. It's not a good defense. They have a lot of good players. He's one of them. They got a lot of them.
How do you prepare for Calais Campbell and him on the edge?
How do we prepare for him?
Yeah, in terms of like what he does, what he brings, and the pressure.
He's another good player on a good defense. They got a lot of them. 6 guys in the Pro Bowl on one side of the ball, and a lot of the other guys are pretty good too. So yeah. When we get matched up against these players, we'll have our matchups, and we'll see how it goes.
Bill, you signed 3 guys yesterday. From a coaching perspective, what are some of the challenges of bringing a guy on, at the start of the season or while the season's, already happening versus a guy that already, was with you guys through the offseason, through training camp?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a game of catch-up. So when players come in at the beginning, they're able to get a progression of installation and learn from the bottom up, build a foundation, and work their way up. Now it's more of a game plan situation, so we don't have all of our plays in for this game. We would never do that, but the ones that we're running this week, those are the ones we'll focus on, and we'll try to catch up on some of the other. And we try to catch up on as much as we can, but we have to prioritize what's going in for this game, what we need for this game. So we'll start with that first. It's a little bit of a backwards way of doing it, but it's the best way to prepare for a short window and try to catch up on all the other things as much as we can. The terminology, all the fundamental things, things that we're not going to be doing this week that are important, but we won't get to all those this week. But we'll try to catch up on those as soon as we can. But that's a challenge.
So when you're evaluating them, are you looking at them situational, like from a situational basis, or do you kind of give, a new guy a little bit of a learning curve when they're joining the season?
Yeah, well, it's a big curve. I mean, we wouldn't expect them to be able to do what players who had been here for, let's call it 6 months, going back to April. There's no way they're going to be able to catch up to that. So we evaluate them what we give them, and it's not the first time this has ever happened. So we have an idea of what's a reasonable expectation. Everybody learns differently. Everybody adjusts differently. Some players have been in similar systems. Some players have a lot more to adapt to. But we'll do the best we can to evaluate it and see how it goes.
Bill, with Riley, I mean, he was here all of training camp. He worked hard. How tough a balance is that as a coach? You see him progressing. Obviously, you don't like when players fumble, but how tough of a decision was that to, release him?
Yeah, well, it's always hard to release a player, and we had to do that the week before with 37 players in one form or another. So so look, it's our job to put the most competitive team out on the field that we can. That's what we're going to try to do.
Does your offense change much when Fournette's on the field as opposed to Yeldon?
Or Grant. They have a lot of good backs, so it doesn't really matter who's out there. They've all been productive. I'd say they've all been productive against us. They're different. They're all good. So we can't control who's out there, but whichever one we have to defend, it'll be a challenge for us. We'll have to be aware of which one's out there, but they have good depth at that position.
Bill, with Jawan Bentley, this is a kid drafted in the 5th round, has a few weeks with you guys in the spring and then 5 or 6 weeks of camp. And then we see him week 1, he's playing in the middle of the defense and playing a lot of snaps. What does a guy like him show you in just a short amount of time that leads to him having that trust and those snaps?
He's done it every day. But that's what he's done his whole career in football, so it's not that big of a surprise to me.
You've had a lot of guys in and out of that receiver room since, say, the last 6-7 weeks, maybe just a little bit more than the norm. What have you noticed from that group, the way they sort of handled the in and out of coming in and out of that?
I think everybody's mainly just focused on what they have to do and trying to do the best job they can with it. That's what they should be doing. So I think that's what they're doing.
Have you noticed anything specifically from Chris, Hogan, or Philip Dorsett, who have been a couple of the constants there, just maybe how they've responded to the opportunity that they've had?
I think they're trying to do the best they can, just like everybody else is. Yeah, absolutely. And they work hard. They're both good players. They're smart people. They can play multiple positions. We've asked them to do a number of things. They tried hard to do them. That's what everybody's trying to do.
Is Blake Bortles' mobility maybe an underrated challenge of defending him?
He's good, yeah. He runs well. He's a big, strong kid. He's hard to bring down. He can extend plays. So just similar to quarterback that we've seen really the last 3 weeks. Not counting the Giants game, but we've seen this 3 weeks in a row with players that have that type of skill. And yeah, he's definitely in that category.
Along those lines, Nathaniel Hackett's play calling, how does he try to utilize Bortles in his movement? And how's it different than what Hackett might have done with Buffalo, for example, Kyle or somebody like that?
Well, I mean, there's occasionally plays that are, I would say, designed for the quarterback, but not many. A lot of his plays are either on some type of option decision based on what the defense does, or there's times where he'll just pull the ball down on a pass if the rush lanes aren't, the quarterback's not properly contained, and he has an opportunity to run and gain easy yardage for a first down or a touchdown or scramble situation. I mean, he'll do that. I mean, any quarterback will do that, but he can do a lot of damage there. The play he ran against the Giants was looked like a read option. He kept it when the end closed and there was nobody there. He ran for 41 yards. So if they had had that covered, he would have handed the ball off. So there's some plays like that. And like I said, I wouldn't say there's a lot of design plays for him, but there's probably, I'm sure they have a couple in their offense. I would. He's certainly capable of it.
Athleticism they have at linebacker.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Yeah, those two guys are really fast. Jax is a strong player. Smith's is fast. Covers a lot of ground, obviously, and very athletic. Yeah, so that's as much speed at linebacker probably as most any team in the league.
How much can that affect the short passing game?
If they cover it, it'll affect it. If they don't, then it won't. I mean, he's a really good speed rusher that has more than speed, but he wins with speed and he makes you defend the speed. And then he sets up other things off of that. So that's definitely his go-to move is his get off and his edge rush and his speed. But when you overplay that, he's quick enough to come underneath. He can turn speed into power, and he can counter. So he's certainly got enough to be a problem in a lot of ways. But his speed is hard to stop, and his get off, especially at home with crowd noise, silent count, and all that. He's good everywhere. I mean, we have trouble with him here in training camp and at home, but it's harder on a silent count and so forth. So he does a good job there, and he's, again, complemented by some good inside pressure. Guys like Campbell that can move the inside part of the pocket and not allow the quarterback to step up away from the edge rush that he and Fowler a lot of times have. So Jackson and Campbell and guys like that are up the middle of the pocket, keep the quarterback from stepping up. And Fowler and Cockaway are on the edge, keep the quarterback from standing back. So there's not a lot of space in there. They've got a very good. They've got a very balanced pass rush. It's not one guy. It's not one thing. They just do a good job of, and then they run games with it, and occasionally they blitz the linebackers too. So they do a good job. It's just a lot of hard guys to block. Yeah, sure.
Bill, Mark Bavaro referred to Rob Gronkowski as sort of an old school tight end in the modern game. As someone that has seen 4 or 5 decades of the game, is that, I think, a fair characterization?
Yeah, sure. I mean, no better authority on that subject than Mark Bavaro, so I'll go with Mark. Yeah.
And to build off that, what would stand out to you from what you've seen from Rob that puts him in that category?
All the things that Mark talked about.
How much can you learn, and what can you learn from the game tape in the AFC title game and going back to the work you guys did with them in training camp?
Yeah, well, training camp was a long time ago. A lot of people who are in that camp aren't going to be on the field. A lot of them are, but a lot of them aren't. Last time we played them again, it was only, I want to say a couple of games ago, not counting the preseason games. So it's a pretty recent game. I think there's some relevance. Teams are at 2 different points at that point, though. Teams that had a long time together, played a lot of games, and we're at a certain level of execution. I'd say at this point in the season, nobody's at that point of execution that you're out in the middle of January. So we'll see how it goes.
When it comes to incorporating new players, you mentioned it's a game plan situation now, so you're not throwing a whole playbook at someone, but how do you weigh a unique physical skill set that a player might bring to the table against what might be a lack of experience or a lack of understanding with what you guys are doing when it comes to make the decision on actually whether this guy's going to be active or not?
Yeah, just have to make that judgment. That's what it is. And obviously nobody's going to come in here in a couple of days and be able to know what somebody who's been here for months or in some cases years has done. So that being said, we've had a number of players that have come in here and contributed to our team significantly in their first year over a period of time. So again, we'll take into each individual case as it comes and see what it brings.
Bill, you
Two final questions here.
you played mostly nickel on Sunday, but with the front six, the defensive linemen and the linebackers, there was a lot of rotation. Is that a matter of early in the season, you're still figuring out what you have, or a matter of trying to avoid fatigue up front?
Well, it's always a case of trying to do what we think is best, give the team the best chance to win. That's what it always is. So, but whatever it is, that's the reason for it. Which there could be a combination of things that would factor into that. But in the end, we're going to try to put the most competitive team out there we can. Whatever that is. That's rotation of players, multiple players, the same players, and so forth. Just do what we think is best.
How rare is it to find a defensive end like Trey Flowers who's dependable against the run and then also, I guess, just is disruptive as a pass rusher?
Oh, Trey's a good football player. He's done a lot of different things for us, and he's a well-rounded player. So he can play on all three downs. He's played outside, played inside. He's able to play heavy on a blocker. He's able to play on the edge of a blocker. Makes plays on the backside. Makes plays at the point of attack. So he's got a good skill set. He plays hard. He's a smart player. He's instinctive. He's productive. Yeah, glad we have him. So, all right, thank you.
Quick updates here. A reminder on going out to practice